god, did you see his numbers again? Yeah, he's been at the bottom for like a month.
Come on, you scrubs! To arms!
Lex might be a little too far from the mic, maybe a little closer.
It's touching my face.
Not another spider!
I was not protected. Oh yeah, doesn't work with fall damage.
I was standing in the pool because I thought we had the silk in.
Ooh, fell asleep at my desk. And I drowned in the Stormwind Canal.
No, Jim, I don't want to hear about your chaos bolt.
What, you want me to dispel? I don't even have that on my action bars.
Stop standing in the fire!
What fire?
Alright, pre-pot, and tricks to the trade. Oh, that was the healer.
What just killed me there? Yep, physical damage. So bad at playing a demon hunter.
Oh my god, we did it.
You're listening to Scrubs vs. the World with your hosts, Cy and Projali.
And welcome into the show, everyone. The final recording of 2020 is upon us. And this last year has felt like a decade.
Centuries.
But, yeah. But we couldn't finish 2020 on a part one, on a cliffhanger. We had to finish the actual episode. So tonight we're going to do part two of Castle Nathria and go over the Council of Blood, Sludge Fist, the Stone Legion Generals, and the Sire himself. So, Projali, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing great. We got our raid schedule shifted away from Christmas Eve, so we're going to raid on a Tuesday. Not normally what we do, but we're going to make it happen still.
Nice. Well, I mean, you know, got to do the holiday thing.
How about you?
Well, we're keeping our Wednesday. Unfortunately, sad news on the Knights of Chipotle front. The raid lead supreme, Hika, has had to step away from the game for a little bit, and I just want to wish him all the best. I know sometimes you just burn the candle at all the ends, and you just got to take a break. I've been there. I'm sure we've all been there. So, Hika, wish you the best, and can't wait for you to come back, buddy. But in return, we're still working on figuring out who's going to make those calls, and I volunteered as tribute. So, we'll see if Ms. Effie Trinket pulls another name, or if I get thrown into the Hunger Games. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Keep you posted on that. But hopefully, since I do the heal callouts, I kind of figured it made sense. I can just do the other callouts, and it'll probably help me because I'll know when the big damage is coming.
Exactly. They'll know the voice of Cy.
That's right. The only problem is I'm way too nice.
The one time that you're upset, people will take it really seriously because they're like, "Oh,
that's
no,
true.
We're in trouble.
That's a good point.
Dad's mad."
Yeah, that's like that with my kids too. Once I start getting ramped up, they're like, "Oh crap, we messed up."
Oh, we stepped in it now.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
So raid schedule moving. So how is your raid progression going so far?
Yeah. So we decided to go back in and get Mr. Cy and Projali, Mr. Denny, down on Heroic earlier, last week, I guess. And then moved on to Mythic progression, ending up with Shriekwing and Huntsman Altimore killed on Mythic. We're going to start on Hungering Devourer this week.
Nice.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Well, we first week got 3 down. Second week got way more than 3 down. We got up to the Sun King. Actually, almost got the Sun King.
Oh yeah.
Got him to 90%, and we all kind of had like a panic moment because we summoned the Shade at 90%, and we all were like, "Oh crap, the Shade's coming!" Because we busted everything. We're blowing the loads all over, trying to just get it to 100. We totally forgot the Shade pops at 90.
Yeah. And
we were like, oh no, Shade popped. We got to figure this out. And we had no heal cooldown, so we died.
Mr. Kael'thas, no, please.
Yeah. No. You were supposed to get to 100.
This is not what we wanted.
So now we know what to do next time, and we know that at 90%, he's going to come back down, and we're going to be able to take care of business there. So,
heck yeah.
very exciting. Lots of fun. And, yeah. Got a chess piece out of the vault today. Beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day indeed.
On the WoW front. Well, cool. Well, let's dive in here and let's circle the wagons around the Council of Blood.
Yes. So where we left off, Council of Blood's the last of the first 7 before Sledge Fist. So Council of Blood's a boss fight on a dance floor. You've got, of course, 3 council members. And if you've raided before, you know council fights typically have either a shared health pool or they reset when you kill one of them. So you've got three members of the council. You've got Lord Stavros, you got Baroness Frida, and you got Castellan Niklaus.
That is a mouthful.
It is. You don't really have to remember them. You can call him Stavy Boy, you can call him Miss Frida, you can call him Nicky Boy, or Klaus for short, you know. But really, when a boss reaches 50%, they'll start a little intermission mini game, and that's the dance floor moves. So you'll get a little beam of light on the dance floor. You go stand in it, and then you follow along with all the other little Revendreth assistants, the butlers, so to speak, walking around the room. So the Dance Macabre intermission phase, each successful move you do in that dance gives you a haste buff, and if you mess it up, you get a dot. So
oh no.
Yeah. You wanna do that dance successfully, just follow along with the guys around you. You should be fine. Once you come out of that, though, there's a bunch going on in this fight. So the general preferred order, at least what we've found with our progression's been the easiest, is you kill Stavros first, then you move on to Frida, and then you move on to Niklaus. So a couple things to really focus on in this fight. Each boss kind of brings their own mechanic. So you'll have a Waltz of Blood when one boss is dead. You get a bunch of patterns that'll move around. They'll stun you if you get hit by them. So dodge. Dodge, dodge, dodge. One thing that's consistent throughout the fight is you will get an ad that will come out and will give the bosses a shield. Dutiful attendant. Look for that guy, kill him on sight. If you try and keep DPSing the boss while he's up, you're not going to get anywhere because they're shielded. So focusing down the attendant is big money.
No whammies.
Nope. Dark Recital will happen with Lord Stavros. That is a link between 2 players. You got to stay pretty close to each other, and you'll be followed by red circles of AoE, so you want to keep moving with your partner. The biggest thing there is the red swirl damage. That's the one thing you want to avoid. If it takes you a couple seconds to get with your partner, that's fine. Just don't get hit by the red swirlies. Just as is tradition in WoW. Red on the ground is dead on the ground. So let's see. What else in this fight? Dancing Fools. That's Baroness Frida's. It's oh my god, I'm so lost right now. There's so many mechanics in this fight. So this is what's going to happen. You'll get Dancing Fools, so when there's 2 bosses dead, you're going to have dancers all over the room. If you get to 13 seconds, they're going to start casting a big AoE explosion. You'll have to find the one dancer that's attackable. Once you find them, blow them up. Kill them quick. That leaves a little safe spot when that 13 seconds goes off.
So this fight looks like it's just pure chaos.
There's a lot going on. And it's one of those fights where you're like, oh, I'm gonna get a lot of cleave on these bosses. But really, ads spawn intermittently throughout the fight. So your cleave is only important on the boss that you're targeting, that your group is targeting then, and the ads that are coming in. You want to kill the ads, but really boss damage is a lot of priority in this fight. And cleaving onto Frida and Stavros or Niklaus when you only want to kill one of them is not going to help. You want to focus at one.
Okay. So maybe do a single target build on this one?
You'll probably want
Like
a
a
couple
hybrid,
people.
maybe?
Yeah, because there's they'll spawn those little servants around the room. They'll start throwing food at you. takes you want to get them down, but you don't want to prioritize them necessarily. You can interrupt them, you can stun them, typhoon them, grip them. If you got a DK, he can grip them on top and just start burning them down along with the boss. But the Stone Guard is an ad when 2 bosses are down that you will really want to focus. He will truck your tanks. He gives them Sin Touched Blade. It's a 50% damage increase at stack. You want to kill him ASAP. He is one of the 2 ads that requires focus instead of the boss. Him and the Dutiful Attendant. But the servants, you can really just kind of burn them down throughout the fight. They're not a high focus like the bosses.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
More of a nuisance.
Yeah. Throwing food at you. It hurts. Your healers will appreciate them dying, but you really want to focus on the boss or those high priority ads. So if you like dancing, you'll love the Council.
Yeah. I wonder if this was inspired by... there's a band called Ghost. Now, they have a song called Dance Macabre. But there's also other songs. Like there's an OG Dance Macabre. But this looks very much in the vein of that. I don't know.
Right.
Probably the OG one, though. It's a fun song if you guys like rock and roll music that strictly deals about or talks about like Satan and stuff.
Gotta check it out.
Yeah. If you don't like Satan, I don't recommend it.
You heard it here first.
Oh, man. Well, cool. So, I mean, was there any interesting sections that you guys struggled on? Or once you guys figured it out, was it pretty much like okay, we do this, we're good, we do that, we're good, and then put it all together?
So there is a tank mechanic where one of the bosses will do a dashing blade attack called Evasive Lunge. He'll teleport behind the tank and do a dash attack in a direction, so it's like a beam. So our tanks didn't have that quite figured out on the first one, and then once we realized it, the melee were able to move out of that way, but we definitely lost some people on the first pull to that. So that is one thing to watch out for. Make sure your tanks are doing a little reading on Evasive Lunge and making sure that positioning is off to the side so they're not going to get like 10 people hit by that. It's a decent amount of damage, so you want to avoid that. The dancing is pretty straightforward, but a couple people didn't realize that you had to be in your beam or you get penalized or die in certain difficulties. So that's one thing. When that 50% intermission hits, get to your spot and wait for the dance. You might want to use a Warlock Gate or a movement speed increase to get there. Some of them are really deep, so it's a big room.
So maybe assign people to go to those.
So, well, you can't assign them. That's assigned to you, like for you. So you get one beam of light per person.
Okay, so I get it now. So there's
you're not going to see
be
somebody else's.
Okay, so if we're in the same raid together, you're going to see a beam, I'm going to see a beam, but we're not going to see each other's beams.
Nope.
Okay.
You cannot see my beam, Cy, and I cannot see your beam.
Fire for the best. This is a family program after all.
This is PG.
Well, cool. Well, that sounds like fun. I can't wait to dive into that one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to the Sludge Fist. Now, here, this one's kind of a little tricky one.
Yes.
So what can we expect with old Fisty here? There's
a little bit of sludge, a little bit of fist, and the fight's all about balancing the two together. No, I'm just kidding. So the basis of Sludge Fist is he is a big dude looking to punch your tanks, looking to chain up the rest of your raid, looking to cause a lot of damage, basically tear the room down with along with your raid. So every minute he's going to charge at one of the tanks, and the tanks have to get in the way of one of the pillars. There's 4 pillars in the room, basically holding the roof up. So he's going to charge at your tank every minute, and they're going to get out of the way and let him charge into this pillar. Now, you don't want to be... Nobody wants to be in the way of this pillar, otherwise you get one shot. But when he hits that pillar, it's going to do some raid damage, and he's going to be vulnerable for 12 seconds, I believe. He's going to get 100% increased damage taken during that phase. He's going to be stunned. So really, you're going to get 4 of those phases throughout the fight, and you're going to want to kind of line up your damage cooldowns and your big burst during those 12-second windows when he's got that increased damage taken. Mm-hmm. That's one of the ways. This is kind of what when people refer to a patchwork boss, so kind of a tank and spank, like high damage focus fight. This is pretty much a patchwork fight in a lot of sense. Some of the stuff you're going to be avoiding in this fight is going to do a destructive stomp. So 20-yard AoE around him. It's going to do lethal damage. It's going to knock anybody back that manages to survive it. You got to not be in that circle.
That looks terrifying.
So he's also, throughout the fight, going to do falling rubble. So he's going to make a little swirly circle. You want to be out of that because it's going to drop rubble. You're going to take a good amount of damage, and it's going to stun anybody left in it. You can bait some of these. You can't bait every single one, but you can bait the majority of them. So it's really good for your raid to kind of plan out your movement for each pillar. So that way you're leaving some of the room left for each movement your team does. Otherwise, if you're just everywhere, you can eventually fill up that room with falling rubble, not have any safe places by the time you get to that third or fourth pillar. It's
game, set, match there.
Yeah, you want to control how much rocks are in the room. So he does an AoE knockback about every 30 seconds called Colossal Roar. You want to get people topped off. There's a lot of things for healers to watch for in this, keeping the raid leveled out at certain times. So on heroic, he'll do a chain pull in. I don't believe he does that on normal. And the fundamental mechanic.
Looks like he does a chain link on normal.
Yes, that's a consistent one throughout the fight. So and that one, so normal modes don't always have lethal mechanics. They'll have like high damage mechanics. This is a lethal mechanic. So for a minute, you're going to get paired up. 2 players are going to get paired up, and each increasing like heroic has more people chained up. Mythic will have everybody chained to a person except the tanks, I believe. But 12 yards on heroic, 15 yards on normal. If you get further away from your partner than that, you will both insta-die.
Oh. And that
Pretty
chain
much.
pull, I'm assuming, has something to do with that chain link. Is that right?
So the chain pull will target a person. Yeah, chain slam. It's heroic and mythic. It's going to root a random player, and then after 4 seconds, going to drag him and anybody in that circle with him into melee range. This is usually lined up with one of his roars that's going to push people back. So if you plan it right with a couple ranged, you have some ranged people jump in that chain slam with your guy because the damage is shared. So you don't want to try and solo it with your person. You want to get maybe another chain group or 2 in there with you. Soak that damage, and then you can let that roar. That's one of the tips kind of from this fight is let that pushback that he's going to do, let that carry you back to where your range are hanging out.
Oh, okay.
That way you're not sacrificing damage for movement. You can kind of he's going to push you back. Let him do the work for you.
Right. So if you are ranged, you can get in there, let him push you back, and then you're just going to be right to where you were initially.
Pretty close. That's another thing when you're learning this fight is kind of predicting movement. Maybe your raid leader's calling those movements for the chain people. Like, okay, we're moving left of the rubble. Like those sorts of things. You want to be in sync with your chain person. Right.
So it's very similar to that ability that N'Zoth did.
Mm-hmm.
I like to relate a lot of my phrases and way I look at the world is a lot through the lens of old movies.
Sure.
So there's an old movie called Heavyweights. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
Of course.
Great movie. Mm-hmm. So there's a scene there where Lars, the summer camp counselor, it's like a fat kid camp, right? And so Lars is trying to help him get in shape, and so they're going swimming, so they have the buddy system. So he blows his whistle and scream out buddy. So every time N'Zoth would do that, I would sit there and be screaming buddy to myself, of course, not over vent, but but that's how I knew I had to get to my buddy. So if I have to do raid callouts, that might be happening.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it's a buddy system.
Buddy!
Buddy!
Oh, that movie was so good.
It was.
Where they killed the blob.
Right?
Sad times. Sad
no more
times.
fun allowed.
That's right.
The candy hidden in the bedposts. They're resourceful.
Oh, I love the 90s.
Man,
great
it's
time.
a great time.
Oh, cool. Is there anything that you guys ran into that was a big issue for you?
Well, so week 1, I think they've done an improvement to some of the graphics. It was really hard to see falling rubble once it was on the ground. It was really pale, and the floor is all gray. So it was kind of hard to tell unless you're really paying attention to your debuff and your health. Am I even standing in rubble right now? Oh, yeah, I am. Okay, now I'm dead because it overlapped with another mechanic. So, yeah, they've cleaned that up. So I think if you have a bigger raid, there is a lot of benefit on normal and heroic for your raid to for your range to be kind of clumped up and move as a group. There's no penalty for your chain pair to be overlapped with another chain pair in normal and heroic. Mythic adds a mechanic where you need to spread and otherwise you do more damage to people, so there's a little more complexity with that one. But normal and heroic, we totally just we're gonna stack up on the raid lead. He's gonna call a movement. We're gonna move left. We're all gonna take that chain slam into there, and we're gonna get pushed back out as a group. So just coordinating that movement made the rubble fill the room. Oh, we had a lot more of the room to work with at that point. Starting with on the first and second pillars, making sure you're using the outside of the room first and then kind of moving more towards the middle and across the room that way, not starting out in the middle and cutting off half the room before you need it.
Right.
So, yeah, just work from the outside in and try and stack those rubbles in a way where you got room at minute 5 and you're not oh crap, the whole room's gone.
There goes 5 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
Right.
Well, cool. Well, let's move over to the Stone Legion Generals. These guys look cool.
Yeah. So, Stone Legion Generals. You've got General Call, who, if you've been doing any of the dungeons, you met, and she flies away. She doesn't let you finish her off there. So we're coming back to deal with her after Sanguine Depths. This... I don't know. I like this fight on normal and heroic. Watching some of the complexity limit and echo progression on the mythic one, I can see why they were very frustrated with it. But normal and heroic feels pretty good. You fight 2 main bosses. There's 3 phases. Phase 1, you're facing off with General Call. General Grishal is flying up in the air. He's not leaving you alone either. But you're pushing each of the generals down to 50% in their phases. So, one of the main mechanics throughout this fight, General Call throws a wicked blade at 2 people in your party, and you want them to get away. Because if you think about it, she's throwing a blade at 2 people, it's going to ricochet off of them and come back to her like a boomerang. You don't want anybody in the path of those blades. So they're supposed to go off into their own little area of the room, take that blade, come back to the group. Grishal's mechanic, he casts Crystallize on somebody. So they're going to get a swirly debuff around them. There's 2 hits to it. So the first one is going to be an AoE explosion. You want anybody with one of those wicked blades to get in there, because the first hit of Crystallize will remove the bleeds. They'll be stunned after that. So you want the rest of the raid who didn't need to clear their bleeds to get on that Crystallize for the second explosion. So there's a little rhythm to that one. It's not everybody, okay, now everybody. Or at least as many people as you want to spread that damage out. Yeah, and the second part of that's called Pulverizing Meteor. So that's the one that's damage. Get in there, help spread the love. What else with General Call do you need to know? So when General Call goes down to 50%, you got to run these orbs that the ads will drop when Stone Legion commandos die. You want to move those in to Prince Renathal. He's hanging out chained over on the side. The generals captured him. So you're gonna get those anima orbs over there, and you're gonna refill his anima bar. You're dealing with ads this whole time. You got Stone Legion Goliaths and Stone Legion Commandos. So the Stone Legion Commandos are going to be dropping bombs on people. You want to try and avoid those. Those are red swirlies. The Goliaths, they need to be tanked, but they're only going to do melee until 20% It's going to stop attacking, and it's going to channel an aura, applying a 20% healing received debuff on the raid until it's killed. So this is one of those ones, the Goliaths. If your raid can do it, it's ideal to cleave off of the boss onto this until he hits 20%. Then your raid leader better be calling, kill the Goliath. Everybody focus it down, because if he stays up too long in that channeling phase, your raid's not going to be able to get healed, and it's game over.
So Goliath is prioritize.
Goliath operational. It's a bad StarCraft reference for y'all. Online. I might have even gotten it wrong. I don't even know.
I know it's battle cruiser operational.
There we go. Goliath Online, battle cruiser operational. Okay.
That's okay. I mean, you said it was bad. I mean, you weren't wrong.
Yeah, see.
But it was good at the same time, so...
To be honest, I don't think I ever made it out of Bronze League in StarCraft, so, take it for what you will.
Well, that makes two of us. I don't have the APMs for StarCraft. I have to play old man style.
Right. I can click my keyboard really fast. Doesn't mean I'm doing anything.
I'm just clicking the arrow keys real fast so I can see.
Oh,
it's to the left. No, it's up. Ah!
Oh, no. I built a pylon. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, they're already killing me. Damn it.
Oh, shoot. Alright, so phase 2, after we charge up our boy Prince Renathal with all of that anima, we got General Grishal on the ground now, because we pushed Call out. So Call's going to be flying around, still doing the Wicked Blade every 30 seconds. So you still want those 2 people who get marked with Wicked Blade to run those out away from the raid, so they're not bouncing that extra bleed onto people. Because it does stack up. Your healers will be very unhappy if unnecessary people get that bleed. General Grishal is going to be doing a reverberating eruption. It's going to mark a random player. After 5 seconds, they're going to get a bunch of nature damage and drop a giant crater on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, you've probably set up some raid markers around the edge of the room, and so you're going to try and drop one on each of those raid markers. Because throughout the fight, he's going to do an eruption mechanic called seismic... No, sorry, not seismic upheaval. He's going to do another eruption mechanic where you're going to need to go in that circle and soak it. So you want to put these circles away from your raid, but not too far from your raid. Then you want to assign people to kind of rotate through and soak those. If you don't, your raid's going to take a bunch of damage, more so than that one person just soaking that eruption. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah, 2 steps to that part. You've still got Goliaths that you got to push down to 20% and burn through that 20% healing reduction. So, priority targets on those. Grishal's got a knockback. That's a tank swap mechanism. You wanna be careful with that one. What else? See, they've added so many mechanics to these fights. It makes them really fun. Makes them hard to talk about sometimes.
It looks like we're bringing anima to Renathal again.
Yep. So once you push our boy Grishal down to 50% again, yep. So you're gonna get Renathal's anima filled up again. That's when Grishal's doing his hardened stone foam. So you're still dealing with ads, healing up Renathal, soaking those soaks. 3rd phase, you've got both Grishal and Call on the ground. They're going to do all the abilities that you got in phase 1 and phase 2. You're not going to get more ads. So you want to finish off any ads that you got left over and just focus on the bosses.
Now, do they share a health pool?
They do not share a health pool. But what they do is similar to like a hive mind boss.
Uh-huh.
They're going to do more damage when the other dies. So you want to burn them down evenly.
Oh.
You don't want Grishal still at like 8% when Call dies, because your tanks are going to start taking... they're just going to do 200% more damage.
Right. They're going to get vaporized.
That's really hard to get through. If your raid's already, it's a progression fight, you're already kind of on edge
anyway. Yeah.
Everything starts doing twice as much damage, you're probably going to wipe. So tanks need to swap. Honestly, if you can do the dance of phase 1 and the dance of phase 2, 3rd phase, not a problem.
Easy money.
Yep. Because you've done all the hard stuff at that point.
Well, yeah,
just
because
gotta
the
keep the rhythm
stupid
going.
ads are gone. Yeah.
Right. You still got the eruptions, you still got the Wicked Blade, but you've got
that's-
practice at that point.
Right. Well, and if you can focus on those mechanics solely, you don't have to worry about the stupid Goliaths coming in. Like, that would be... I feel like that's doable. That feels like a normal, like a standard boss.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ads kind of add in... Well, yes. by definition of their name there, ads add in that extra little wrinkle of, oh my god.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm looking through here, and there's a lot of gifts going on here, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And of course, like, when you're looking at this stuff and you're researching it, it looks intimidating before you actually get in there. But once you get into it and you start feeling it out, it's not that bad.
No.
I mean, if you're a seasoned raider, then you know that, but paying attention, making sure your big wigs or DBM is up to date is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Especially on stuff where you have to, like the Goliath there, you have to make sure you're prioritizing, you understand what's coming out. Like, that's part of the game.
Yep.
So,
just be ready to move out of a lot of stuff on this fight. Phase 2, if you're soaking those circles, just that's the priority at that point. If you're too focused on tunnel visioning damage and you miss one of those soaks, that's probably a raid wipe. So there's a lot of personal accountability in this fight, getting blades away from your team and making those soaks when you're called for. So
yeah, I mean, it's just the little things. And I think if you are like maybe you're not leading the raid, but you're a DPS and you're in charge of this, understand where your defensives are. Get your lock rocks. Have a health pot. Mm-hmm. Just be prepared for it, because I think just prepping for those moves and understanding like what you need to do to survive is going to help your healers out immensely. Because I can tell you right now, like, if you have a lazy DPS who doesn't pay attention, or maybe they're having a hard time or whatever, it just creates a lot of strain and creates a lot of mana woes. So I know that in our progression, one of my healers was they were getting frustrated, and I was like, hey, I think we're on Artificer at this point. And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, this is learning damage. Like, we're all going to take this extra damage. But once we smooth it out, the damage goes down, then the healing becomes less intense, and then it becomes fun. That's kind of how it worked. But I think just remembering, like, if you are a DPS or a tank, understand what your keys are and just be responsible for those, because that'll help out everyone else around you, and it'll make your life a little more fun too. It feels like you did something cool.
Definitely.
All right, now let's get to the biggest mamma jamma in the raid here. The final guy, Mr. Now, this is a bold move from his parents to name him Sire. I'm assuming that's his first name.
Yeah, I see. And we don't know the whole story, Did he give himself that name? Did his parents name him that? Who are his parents? Why did they leave him? Why is he so angry?
I mean, this is like, there's I was watching football the other day, and there was a guy named Amon Ra.
Oh, yeah. Amon Ra St. Brown.
Yeah. I think we texted each other, because we were watching, he plays for USC.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's like I don't even know, man. Like, if you're about to, like, say you're a kid, you're going to get in a fight with this guy, and it's like, God, you're about to fight Amon Ra. Like, it's an Egyptian god, man. I don't know if you want to go down that road.
You don't. No, you don't want to mess with that.
No. So I wonder if it was, like, one of those power moves. Maybe it was supposed to be, like, Steve Denathrius, and then his parents are like, no, we got to be a little more, I don't know. What about Sire? I think that's a great name.
Only my friends call me Steve.
Steve Denathrius. See, it's like the SNL skit where it's boss or undercover boss.
Yeah.
That's what I envisioned right there. Steve Denathrius. We all know it's Sire.
Had your muffin yet? I ain't had my muffin yet, Mark.
Steve Denathrius. God. Well, let's break down old Steve's stuff here.
Mr. Stevie Sire Stevie. He is a 3-phase fight. So phase 1, you're walking in. You see him talking to his sword. It's a little creepy, but hey, he just fought some giant gargoyles who are generals, so there's weirder things out there. This phase lasts from 100% to 70%. And you got a couple mechanics here to pay attention to. So you start off the fight with 5 stacks of a debuff called Burden of Sin. He's going to knock each of those off with a frontal attack called Cleansing Pain. So your tanks are going to need to position him probably facing the wall, and you're going to want to rotate groups. So say you had 20 people in the raid, maybe 7 or 8 people at a time. Rotate through those frontals. Sometimes it's easier to coordinate that with like group 1, group 2, stand in front type of calls. Those Burden of Sin stacks are going to be important later, but you want to stagger those out. So you want different people at different amounts of those. Lower the better. Another mechanic that he's going to do, he's going to throw you up in the air with Blood Price. He's going to do this 3 times in phase 1. Whenever he throws you up, that damage is going to be based on your Burden of Sin stacks. How many people are sharing the stack count? So that's why you don't want everybody to take that frontal at once, because you want like half your raid or a third of your raid at one stack amount, the next at the next amount. So there's a little math to it, but your raid will get in the rhythm of it. Heal that up. It's got a knockback, so it's ideal to have your back against, like, be in between him and the wall when he's going to do that. That way you get knocked into a wall and you can reposition a little easier. Mm-hmm. It's more important if you're the one that's going to take the next frontal. It's not as important if you're not in that group right then. When he does that frontal, he's going to spawn adds. You want to burn those adds down ASAP because they do rate damage. There's one... So eventually, after he's done that twice, I believe, he'll do Ravage. And so that's when he hits 100 energy. He's going to cast Command Ravage, and his Blade Remornia, who is just talking to, it's a little weird. Mm-hmm. It's going to target a third of the room with the giant red pool. You want to get out of there because you can't take any healing when in there, and you're going to take a lot of damage. So Warlock Gate, Wind Rush Totem, whatever it is, your raid will move to the next slice of the pie of the room, basically. So that's kind of the slow enrage to the room, because the whole room will be covered in that red pool, so you want to burn them down to 70% by the time that third one's going to come out. Mm-hmm. There's an additional mechanic in Heroic, and we're just in phase 1, folks. Oh. Yeah. Night Hunter. So he's going to summon images of himself, because he loves himself so much. So you'll see a couple Steves. There'll be a line between those Steves, and he'll mark a player for each one. You'll have a little circle around you, and anybody standing in that circle will take damage and heal up the boss. What you want to do is you want to get those circles a little bit away from the raid and let your raid stack in the line between Steve and your circle. You're going to soak some of that damage and prevent him from healing himself up a lot. So your raid will have to learn how to not cross those beams or be in 2 of them, because you'll probably die if you're in 2 of them. So there's a little juggling act with those, but soak that line damage. Keep pumping on the boss.
Nice.
There'll be a quiz after this, by the way. Alright, there's an intermission phase. He's going to basically say he's tired of your crap. He's going to throw you to the edge of the room, fill the whole room with the red desolation, and you're slow walking to the middle of the room to escape what is explodey stuff. You are snared by how many stacks of Burden of Sin you have. So that's why it's important to rotate your raid through that frontal through the phase 1 to drop their Burden of Sin stacks. Mm-hmm. We were seeing people, if they were at 2 or fewer stacks, you'd probably make it to the middle just fine. Mm-hmm. Some classes with 3 stacks were struggling a little more, like priests or others. You can't use any abilities during the movement. So you can precast cat form, ghost wolf, if you're quick enough when you see him casting his ability at 70%. But you can't do anything while you're in there. So
Interesting.
get to the center. There's a little safe spot. You can life grip any stragglers. You can Stampeding Roar or Windrush Totem. Warlock Gate you can actually click during there. So if you're lucky enough to be near a pre-placed Warlock Gate, you could take that. But yeah, you need to get in the middle of that room within 15 seconds, I believe, or you get one shot.
That's not good.
No.
So is there any way? Do you get dropped in the same spot every time, or like is it
No.
like a like it's just kind of like so the arena is a circle? I'm assuming. And then so like doesn't matter. Like let's say you're in like say you're 10 feet away from the center. Are you always going to be, at maximum range? Or if you're at 11 feet, let's say, you're going to go a bit further when he blows you out to the edge there?
No, so from what we could tell is he's throwing everybody kind of equidistant around the room.
Oh, okay.
And you don't know where he's going to throw you necessarily. So if you're a warlock, you're thinking, oh, we're in this last third of the room. I'm just going to drop my warlock gate here because I'll take it. You may not be thrown in that area. So it's always a good idea to drop it just because somebody might be near it.
Right.
But
Could be that
it's not going to
reason.
guarantee that you can do it. And I don't believe so. Like stuff like pre-place in a demonic circle so they can try and teleport themselves out with that ability. I don't think that works because you can't interact with abilities during that part. But yep, it's gonna take a few wipes. You're gonna be like, oh no, I'm not gonna make it. I'm stuck in the quicksand. It's gonna happen. So it's a learning process.
Yep. Get that learning out of the way.
Yep. Then after that 15 seconds happens, he's going to break away the middle of the room, and you're gonna have the fall of the unworthy if you didn't make it. So you still fall with the group. He doesn't kill you instantly. He just doesn't prevent the fall damage when you go through the floor. So if you make it,
So
you
go
live.
Splat.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because people got false hope. They're like, oh no, dude, I made it. Splat. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm here with you in the circle. Check your debuff. Splat.
Yeah. Your body's here.
Yeah. So we did find a shaman. He got through the floor, died, was able to onk down there, and start ahead of the group. Wouldn't recommend it as a strategy, but it was a fun one-off.
That's good.
Yep.
Bead burst right there.
Exactly. Shaman advantage. And then we enter phase 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
So he is fought on a platform that's like, it's got like a cross, and there's mirrors at each end of the cross. So 4 mirrors in the room. You've got corner platforms that have a big crevasse in between them. So melee can't, without kind of an assistance, get over to those. He's got, similar to Wicked Blade from the last boss that we talked about, he's got an impale. And so he'll mark players with impale, and they want to get away from the raid as well. There's like he'll put an arrow between them, so it'll show the direction your impale's going to shoot off of, and so you can kind of avoid those players who are lining up the impale. If that kind of makes it so, watch for the arrows. Don't be in between an arrow on that impale, and you'll be fine. He'll do an ability called Massacre. That's when Ramornia gets fed up with you and shoots a bunch of swords across the room. You'll see the room will turn pretty dark, and you'll see these giant red lines start forming. And if you're standing in one of those, not long after, a giant blade is going to charge through and just gib you. You're done if you're in that line. It's bad news. So if you hear Ramornia start yelling and the room goes black, don't stand in the red.
Yeah,
Get out
of the red.
He'll do periodically throughout the phase. He'll do Crimson Chorus, and so you'll get 4 ads spawning on one edge of the room. And so this is where if It's easier to see when you're looking at a guide. But on one side of the room, basically, he's going to put 2 ads on those platforms that have a gap between them, and he's going to put 2 ads next to one of the mirrors. And so, ideally, you've got melee kind of focusing on cleaving the boss and downing those ads, where you've got the boss positioned over by those ads. You want your range blowing up those ones on the platforms off to the side. Now, you want to be careful when you kill these ads, because Blizzard loves their don't stand in red mechanics. When one of these Crimson Chorus ads die, they're going to leave a bunch of red circles on the ground. So if you're thinking about this, there's a couple other mechanics in this fight where you wouldn't want random red circles spawning on the ground. So if you're dealing with Massacre, you're already avoiding one mechanic. You don't want more stuff to avoid. So trying to time those ad deaths is pretty important. He also has a frontal attack you'll want to avoid. Your tanks can do you a favor there. The nice thing about the frontal, though, is it does a damage increase to the ads. So if your tanks are positioned right, they'll debuff the ads, and it makes it easier to kill them.
Very nice.
Yes. He'll also cast Hand of Destruction and pull everybody into him. And then he basically says, I had enough of you. Get out of here. It's going to do a big lethal AoE. If you're positioned next to one of the mirrors, here's a cool part of the fight. You run through the mirror, you teleport to the other side of the room.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So if your tanks are positioned right, it's just an easy jump through the mirror. You're safe. You're going to rinse and repeat that until you get to phase 3 at 40%. Now he doesn't care if there's still ads up or not. He's going to transition. So ideally, you're timing when the ads are dying with when he's going to the middle of the room at 40%. Yeah, and that's when we start phase 3. So phase 3, he'll still keep some of those mechanics you've seen. Ramornia's still going to do Massacre and do her giant cut through the room mechanic that is really, really, really cool, but really, really, really deadly. He'll also do his Hand of Destruction pull-in, where you have to run out of his red circle, but you don't have a mirror now to juke it. So you got to run out, use your movement speeds, whatever you got. On normal, he'll do Fatal Finesse, which is red circle, move away from the group type of mechanic. Put a big red circle around you. You get away from everybody else. Don't stand in somebody else's red circle. It'll explode. On Heroic, it's going to leave a big red orb. It does damage to you if you stand in it, but you got to soak it, because otherwise those will eventually explode and wipe your raid. So during all of these other mechanics he's doing, the pull in, the throw the blades across the room, you're having to soak these orbs.
Well, he is the end boss, so
Yeah.
gotta be crazy.
The final mechanic of that is similar to phase 1 when he's doing the pie fill the room with red mechanic. He is doing that downstairs too. So that's basically the enrage to the fight. He's eventually going to fill that room with red. Yeah. I think we ended up killing him on the 3rd pie slice. So
Nice.
there's definitely a time to it. But it's a lot of fun. It feels there's a lot of pacing to the first phase. Second phase, you're running all over the place. It's kind of frantic. Third phase, you're really feeling the pressure.
So in your opinion, of the end bosses we've seen so far in our World of Warcraft careers, illustrious World of Warcraft careers, where would you rank Steve?
Denny from accounting. The Denny's Grand Slam, Sire Denny. He is, I haven't done a full list yet, and maybe that's something we do into patch. I think that'd be awesome, but I think he is definitely top 5
Of all time, huh?
Yeah, I think
Wow.
in bosses, yeah, the mechanics don't feel stupid. Like some, like if you know how they work, you can avoid them, and you don't feel like the randomness is gonna like wipe your raid.
Right.
You know?
So it's not an not then.
It's yeah, the beam potential there doesn't make you feel like you need to stack mages or anything. Like it's just to blink through the beams and like, why are we dealing with this? Just blink. I don't know. I hate this.
Right.
No, there's there's a lot going on in this fight. Like, I think that's been a consistent thing with Nathria, the whole raid instance, but they've done a good job of making the mechanics make sense.
Right. It's not just, here's a bunch of crap, deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because those fights are the worst. Like, it feels good. It feels good when you beat them, but you don't want to do them again.
Yeah.
Like with Unat, like, we beat it on the last poll before the next patch.
Right.
You know, and that felt amazing, but I was so happy to never have to set foot in that place again.
Mm-hmm.
And I like going back and doing like transmog runs and all that stuff. So, you know, but like beating a raid, I'm not necessarily done with it per se. Like I'll go back and do LFR and just see it and have fun, but not that one. So,
right.
I think I'm pretty excited about getting in there, seeing this one, seeing how we do. And we're gonna get it eventually, I hope.
Oh yeah.
And just seeing like being able to compare it to the other bosses I've seen is gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's right now, I think. Let's see. What's my favorite all-time end boss? Probably is Arthas still.
Yeah.
And I think that's because that's my first like real big one I've ever did. That's always a big impression. It leaves a big impression on you.
Oh, definitely.
But I hope I'm excited. I'm glad that what you're saying is like you were super pumped because I remember you texted me and you'd whisper me while you're in game too, like, "Hey man, this is sweet," and then so
cool.
Like I was just like, "Oh man, I can't wait to get there. I want to see this thing." So this is gonna be awesome. Like I can't wait. So far, Nathria has been amazing.
Yeah.
Just the ambiance, if you will,
Indeed,
is great, and I think they did a wonderful job. So I can't wait to finish this raid, and I'm excited to see what they got going next. I hope we don't have a letdown coming in with the next raid.
It definitely sets it up on the next one where the expectations are high. So you wanna finish on that one.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Well, cool, man. No, I think we did a pretty good job of covering that raid. Again, you can go to mythictrap.com. You can go to YouTube, of course. I think Fat Boss has guides still.
They do.
I know Hazelnutty's been doing some guides. Kind of a simple breakdown. Like if you watch Fat Boss, they'll give you kind of the in-depth look. And Hazelnutty just kind of gave the quick and dirty on the guide I saw she did. So that was really cool.
Right.
So check them out if you're looking for resources. Yeah. Go have fun. Go kill them all, baby.
Get in there. There's a lot of mechanics. It's definitely easier to read it on paper sometimes. So
yeah. Seeing
those
it,
guys are
doing
awesome.
It. Yep. And communicating. Always learn how to communicate, folks, because that's important.
Yep.
Well, cool. Well, that ends the boss portion of the Nathria part 2. There's also some other things going on. The World First race is going on.
Yeah.
And I believe... Now, I think Limit and a couple others are already at Steve Denathrius. But where would you put yourself in this race? Since you're down, you have 2 bosses down. Can we say Temporary Insanity is the dark horse for Castle Nathria World First? What do you say?
I'd say it's pretty dark.
We're a little behind our normal prog, but it's not, still technically, since they haven't killed Mythic Sire, we could get there.
You could.
It's unlikely jumping from US 270 to first, but
You know what?
Could happen.
If you believe hard enough, anything is possible.
That's I'm gonna keep believing.
Oh man, dude! If you guys somehow do it, that'd be so funny. Like, imagine the headlines of that. Random U.S. guild
Fumbles its way into World First.
Yeah.
I don't know. We stayed an hour late. I guess that might have done it.
Well, our healer actually ate his food this time, and it worked.
He didn't You didn't get hangry.
Oh man, well, cool. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna win.
It's Limit and Echo are both making really good progression on Denathrius. Limit got there first, but Echo wasn't far behind. Echo got some heat for not streaming a full day of Sire Denathrius progression, but we still take what we can get. This is the first beyond some of the later tiers of Nyalotha. This is later tiers of BFA, including Nyalotha. This is the most coverage that the Race to World First has gotten. So many guilds are doing streaming and commentary. Limit's got one, Echo's got one, Pieces has one, Big Dumb Gaming, so BDGG. I think Aversion is a German guild who's even doing coverage in German. Wow. All of these different Twitch streams, all these different guilds getting covered for those top 10 guilds progressing. There's so many views. This is all still, it's not even sponsored by Blizzard. This is all community and gaming organization driven.
Wow.
So this is organic content, folks.
Really cool.
And it's pretty entertaining to tune in, even if you just have 30 minutes on your lunch or something, just catching those streams. I think Limit's got some really good banter.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of folks rooting for Limit since the whole method meltdown and all their shenanigans and Echo forming, and I'm rooting for Limit. Of course, I've always rooted for Limit, just because I like Limit. I like how they roll.
America.
The goddamn United States of America.
Dale's Cowboys.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's good. But that's really cool though. Like, just the buzz and the growth that this is seeing. I mean, it just opens up. I don't know. I mean, do you think if Blizzard jumps in on this, that could ruin it potentially because of how organic it's been?
It could. I think the hurdle that they would have right now is the non-global release of the tiers and the patches. So US gets theirs. So North American servers get it on Tuesday, European servers get it on Wednesday, and Chinese, Asian servers get it on Thursdays, I believe. So there's a staggered release to the raid that already is controversial. Some guilds say the US guilds are essentially bug testing and patch testing the raids before the European guilds there. And then European fans will say that 12-hour advantage is enough to put the US guilds in a competitive advantage where those bug tests don't matter. Then you get maintenance schedules that get in the way. So up to 2 p.m. on that Tuesday just reduces that North American advantage right there. So I think that would be one of the first steps that they'd have to get over. I don't know what it would do to the community. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think with the organic growth and just the buzz that the community has built around this event, I think that if Blizzard tried to harness this thing, it could potentially choke it out. Because like you'll see things where like, okay, now we have to pay to watch the stream.
Oh yeah.
Potentially. Now I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but like let's say they do that because they're like, holy shit, we're getting 2 million views or whatever. Let's charge everyone $1.50 to watch it, and there you go. There's a little cash cow.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to push people away, and people have weird ideas on how things are anyway, but I think if Blizzard stamped its name on there and tried to create like an event, I think they could potentially kind of bring it down, because a lot of these community-grown events, like this game was kind of birthed by that. Like you think about Vanilla WoW, it was not the content that drove people to keep playing. It was the interactions you had with your guildmates. It was I have no idea what the hell I'm doing and my dial-up's dead, but I'm going to go in here anyway and see what happens. And you like the players created that narrative, and that's why it was so fun and so beloved. And I think if we get an official kind of movement towards it, now if they put like an official like announcing team or something together to cover it, I think that would be cool. But I think if they try to like kind of rein it in a little bit, I think Blizzard will they have the potential to choke it, because once money gets involved, then, I mean, look at like our like we like college football, for example.
Sure.
That is a, billion-dollar industry, and like I can come up with a better playoff system, just spitballing that would actually be fair. Because right now they have a group of, the great arbiters they go through, and they pick who's the best team, and every year it's stupid Alabama. Now they probably are the best, but but there needs to be a way. In that, in my opinion, we could have a whole another show dedicated to just my idea on the college football playoffs, so I'll leave it alone.
Right.
But every year there's a fan base that feels slighted because, they wanted this group because they're going to bring in the money. So,
sure.
If Blizzard brings in these official kind of sponsored teams, let's say, now it's like, Limits sponsored by Blizzard. Of course they get the best treatment. Of course they won. People are going to try to, throw shade on the victory and try to discount it. Like, our Oregon Ducks won the Pac-12 title. Now, we didn't technically have the best record in the North, but the UW Chumskies couldn't field a team because, unfortunately, COVID ran rampant in their locker room.
It's a strange year.
Yeah, that's not Oregon's fault. Pac-12 had to do something, so they put the next team there. So UW couldn't finish the season. Therefore, they were disqualified. So, suck it, Huskies. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. And
we just lost every Washington listener. That's okay, though.
Oh, that's fine. No, they'll stay on to just post mean comments. It's fine. There's something to be said for having some controversy.
That's true.
You can't be a people pleaser.
That's right. But to bring all this back in, Husky digs aside. I think if Blizzard tried to sponsor something and like sponsor the teams in some way, I think other teams, could probably try to they could try to say like, they're crying, they're gonna cry foul, they're gonna say this wasn't legit, or Blizz did this thing for that group because whatever reason, XYZ made up reason that no one knows about.
Right.
So yeah, but I also like the organic community stuff because that's interesting.
Yeah.
To me, that's interesting. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I hope Limit wins.
Me too.
And actually, I hope Temporary Insanity wins. And if I could bet on that,
oh my god,
I'd throw a 5 spot on those odds.
We can't have that pressure. We already had way too many unnecessary deaths on Shriekwing. I can't imagine that.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, that brings us to the end of this one. Being that it's the end of the year, I was going to do some fun, top 10 scrub moments of 2020, but this whole year has been a scrub moment. Right. Everywhere from the pandemic response to just every time you turn around, something stupid's happening. So I think we're just going to let 2020 be.
Yeah, I don't think you could have the SNL writers or any sort of comedy show writers come up with 2020.
No,
it's too out there.
It is. I follow this. So I love history, right? History is one of my favorite things in this world. So I follow this YouTube channel called Weird History, and they posed the question of what's the worst year that's ever been, and arguably, I think it was 568 AD. I think it was. We had volcanic eruptions that killed food supplies. So we had people dying of famine. Bubonic plague was going crazy. The climate changed for the worse. So, that was a really bad year. A lot of people died that year, and it sucked. But Weird History did something that they didn't normally do, is they created a 2020 Weird History in review. And I was just I couldn't finish it because it was just so messed up. And I think it was messed up in different ways. And I think, to compare years, obviously 568 sucks, but we don't live in 568. We live now.
No, yeah.
So I think in comparison, this is the worst we've ever seen. You and I have ever seen. And, man, I just hope that going forward, we can all remember that we're humans, give each other a break.
Yep.
And just try to bring this thing back together somehow. I don't know. It got dark.
It's,
supposed to be
2021. Let's press the reset button.
Yeah. So 2020 is over. Bye, 2020. You suck. We're not talking about you anymore. But 2021 is going to be awesome. I'm calling it now. This is going to be our best year ever.
Indeed.
And we have fun ideas for the show. I have a lot of personal goals I'm going to try to hit. Trying to learn languages. Why not? Trying to learn Italian now. Still doing Norwegian.
Gorlami.
Yeah. Gonna lose weight again. I gained all the weight back that I lost at the end of 2019.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I put on the COVID 69. Not 19. It's times it. That was a bad number to choose, but you know what I mean.
It's
I
okay.
was like, oh, I put on the COVID-19. I put on that to like the third power. So let's
Right.
let's reel that one back in. But yeah, 2021, and I just want to thank everyone for listening. This ride has been insane doing this podcast. When I started off as some schlub, still am a schlub, but you know what I mean. Like just a dude talking into a microphone, and now I got a co-host here. Thanks again for joining me. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's been awesome. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah, like I think we're gonna make some really cool things, and just the people I've met, like, it's been really neat. It's been fun. Like this project has helped me get through 2020, and has helped me stay sane, and has helped me kind of stay focused. I know I took that break in, I think it was June, July. I had to because I was going insane. But coming through it and seeing the community response and being able to do something fun and to help someone laugh or play this game a little bit better is what drives me to do even more. So 2021, gonna do some more fun things. Gotta flex the audio creation muscles and just have some fun.
It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
It's gonna be great. So everyone hang in there, have a great holiday season and a happy new year, and we'll see you in January.
See ya.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.